You know what I feel is the last test of understanding your pain is when you can be grateful for the pain that you did receive and realize that it was probably your last test. I feel like it levels you up, really. My dog's trying to make it. It levels you up, really, I feel, because we could all waller in our pain. We can. But is that really beneficial for yourself, for anyone around you? Probably not. I don't want to be in more pain. I don't want to be in a hostile environment because I had so much of that. I just want to be in a place of peace with animals. The squirrels were going crazy a minute ago. Phoenix is having fun. Come here. He's over there chewing a bum. He is a very good dog. I feel like he's come here. Come here. Come here. Phoenix. Phoenix, come here. I feel like he come into my life for a reason. He feels very familiar to me. Right? You're not even listening. He's trotting like he does these things where he's bouncing. He bounces when he's playing, like a deer. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. But being grateful, yeah, grateful. Be grateful for the pain. There's a lot of pain. A lot of pain, a lot of trauma. But you can come out of it. And you can see what your pain was meant to show you. My pain showed me that I had a purpose, and my purpose was to be able to share my truth, but not only share my truth, share what it took to get there, to knowing my truth and to knowing me fully, how it, all the pain and all the darkness showed me I could still be a soft soul even through having trauma and lots of abusive things, and also how it didn't sway me from wanting to help people, even though a lot was people hurting me. So that's how I feel like being grateful is an abundance in itself, because when you're grateful from your heart center, and it radiates all through you, not everybody gets that. Not everybody. And even just to feel that, to feel the tingles and to feel the warm over past the Phoenix. Hey, come in here. Just to have that. Oh. Just to have that, it's the best. It's abundance in itself to be grateful. And once you could what you can realize that. Like, I'm smiling because I found that out on my own, but it would have been cool to have somebody to tell me. But I don't think that even if I was to tell you, that you would understand it until it's ready for it to be understood. I feel like there's levels in gratefulness. But when you can be grateful from the essence of yourself and feel that radiating throughout your entire body, that is what divine gratefulness feels like. And that's what I feel we all would love to feel and to be able to get there. So I don't know, because I've just now recently, I've always been grateful, but I've just now recently forgiven parts of me to let my how do I say this? To let parts of me that destroyed me be the parts of me that I was happy to have destroy me, even though at the time I wasn't. There would have been nobody in their right mind that would have been like, yes, thank you for this kind of abuse. Thank you for, da 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 da. Put in your situation, and it'll still be the same. But it's a very, very, very nice feeling to let go. And because I'm envisioning a time when I lost a baby, and it was the first loss, and that was really hard. And I was laying in a bed and I was listening to Silent Lucidity, and I just played it over and over again. And I remember my mom coming in the room, and I just remember I cried and cried and cried and cried. I feel like I cried an ocean on that bed that day, because I prayed for all of my kids, and I said, God, if I can't get pregnant, or if I lose a baby, I'm meant to lose a baby, please don't. That I was too sensitive and it would break me. So, long story short is I've lost 3. And the last one almost took my life. I was minutes away from going. And I had 2 small kids. I had 2 small kids here. And I was also reeling from a very hurtful loss of my mother, who was a very big part of my life and still is, even over on the other side. She's my biggest supporter. I feel her every day, and she had to be a catalyst like my babies did. I remember being 15, and this is basically telling you where I come from as far as this goes in the dark. When I was 15, I was scared of death, to the point where I would make sure every window was locked, every door was locked every night, before I went to bed. And I woke up pretty much almost every night by the littlest sounds that were going in the house. And I was, thinking I was seeing ghosts and all this. And I believe in the spirit realm, so I know that when you're in fear state or anger, that stuff, it's attracted to it, and that's because it's lower vibration, and that's what they feed on. So back to that, when I was 15, I was scared, and I was scared of dying, I was scared of death, and I don't know if it's like my body knew that I was going to endure so much, but I did, and it was like that for about a year. And I think when I lost my first baby, which I've lost other people that were not my mom or my kids, but my first baby, I feel like if she wasn't my oldest baby, if she wasn't there, I don't know if I would have come out of it. She kept me going, even though autistic, she's high functioning, she's 15 now, but if it wasn't for her, I don't know. So I lost that baby, and I feel like that's when I wasn't scared of death anymore. And it was because I went into death. I didn't have a choice but to stare it in the face, and I had to drudge through hell, and it was really hard. And I think that once you have hit a darkness like that, a part of you does die. And then I had it happen again. It was basically a pattern miscarriage. Both my babies, I lived a nightmare the exact same way twice. Just different months and different years. There's a squirrel. My first ultrasound was for my second child. My first ultrasound was at 10:30 in the morning with the same doctor I had with my second miscarriage, which was my third baby. Both of them were at 10:30 in the morning, both on the 29th, and a DNC on the 30th. Just different months and different years. I found out the same way. It was done all the same with the same doctor, and they were a half a week apart, and they just didn't have heartbeats. So that was really, really, really hard. That's when my faith broke. That's when my faith broke, and I never forgot the tattoo that I wanted around that time, and it was, I don't need saving, I can save myself. Because I'd had to save myself so much already. So my third miscarriage, which was after the birth of after the tubal that I had done, back in December of 2016. I was pregnant on May the 8th. May the 9th, I went in the hospital in 2018. Mind you, I had a tubal, and they cut, burned, and tied me because she asked me what I wanted, and I said, do it all, I'm done. I have 2 kids, I'm good. So, I got pregnant. And TMI, if anybody is underage here, but so there was a pinhole in my uterus, and it had made a ramp from my uterine wall, the outside, to my fallopian, not to my fallopian tube, but to the ovary. So I made a ramp. And so the egg was fertilized and implanted on the outside of my outside of my uterus. Now, at the time, I was getting close to, let's just say my mom and my grandmother and my great-grandmother were all done menopause very, very, very early. So I thought that's what it was, because I was fixed. And so I end up getting, I noticed about 11:30, right after, well, a little after 11:30, my stomach was cramping, and I was talking to my sister on the phone, and I said, I'm cramping really bad, I must be getting ready to start. So after about, I think that was about 12:30 that I called her, and then by 2:30 I loaded up my baby and we went to the store. And we were going down the pasta aisle, and I turned as white as my vision turned as white as my shirt. And I started sweating profusely within seconds. And so I lowered myself to the ground, and I sat in the pasta aisle, and I called my mother-in-law. And hush, it's just the birdies. Hey, Mr. Squirrel. They're sitting on the house. It looked like they were watching me. So I called my mother-in-law, and I said, look, I can't drive, please come get me and my baby and me and my little, that's what I call her. That is actually what I call her. I just don't trust myself to drive. So she come and got us and sat down on the floor and played with little, and I went to test, and automatic. And I started crying because I knew I was fixing to have surgery. And my whole world crashed at my feet, because I once again was angry with God, because here I am pregnant, and I know that this baby wasn't going to make it. Baby can't survive on the outside of your uterus. So I called my husband, and I told him, and he made a 45-minute drive, turned to 20 minutes, and got to me, and I rode all the way to the hospital like this, and stretching my stomach as much as I could, and it was hurting really bad, and it was just getting worse and worse, so it was like labor. And we got to the hospital, and basically, if you are ever bleeding internally, if you press right here in the middle of your back, that will allow them to know if you are bleeding internally. No, we don't eat squirrels. Squirrels are our friends. We're trying to invite more squirrels. They've all left. Sophie barks, I'm sorry. So, I had 3 doctors, a whole team of nurses, and supposedly what I had was 1 out of 350,000 people it would happen to. So, my back's not very good, so I was in a bad car accident when I was very young. So I went, took me for an ultrasound, and I was doing an ultrasound for an hour and a half, and they thought at first that it was in my ovary. No, it wasn't. Phoenix, come here. Don't get tied up, babe. Come here. No? Okay. So basically, it wasn't in my ovary. So when she showed me, I was full of black in my ultrasound, which was meaning I was full of blood. So I went from being small to looking like I was fixing to deliver by the time I was in surgery. And come here. Not that way. This way. Come here. Come here. I was in surgery for 2.5 hours, I think. But okay, back to what I was saying. Okay. So I was waiting. Gosh, it was like 12 hours before I went and had surgery. I don't know why it took us that long, but that's what happened. And so I went. It was like 12 hours before I actually was in surgery, and so I remember laying over my leg because it was the only way I was comfortable. And the last time I looked at the clock or at my vitals was when it said 42/37, and my heart rate was nothing under 105, and I was just laying there. And I'm just going to tell you that, if your parents, grandparents, or people that you love had said, I waited for you to get here so that I could go. Well, your body doesn't tell you, hey, you're dying, in your ear. No, it tells you by the biggest gut feeling you will ever have in your life, and it is a gut feeling that you can't shake. You can't ignore this gut feeling, because that's the answer, and that's the only answer you're gonna have. So I remember laying there and told my husband, I'm so scared, and I would go out. And I would come back too, and I would say, I'm so scared, and I would go back out. And when I was conscious for those times, all I could think about was how hard I was having of a time with the loss of my mother. And I had look at that baby squirrel on his tail. He loves you, Phoenix. He loves you. Look at his pretty tail. You have a pretty tail too. He's your family. Because golden retrievers have poofy tails. He's got fluffy butt cheeks too. He's got big fluffy butt cheeks. My dog does. I don't know about the squirrel sitting on the fence. But just a crazy moment. Just ooh, kitty. Or ooh, squirrel. So basically I was terrified, and all I could think about is I had a 1.5-year-old, and a 8.5-year-old, and they were gonna lose their mom, and they were gonna do exactly what I was doing at the time. Because I think about my mom every day. I know people say that, but the relationship that I have, I have because I still have a relationship with my mom. She's just on a different plane than me, and I can't see her, but I can feel her, and